When theme and amusement parks come across the means to build new attractions, they are often met with the difficult task of deciding exactly what type of ride to build. Some parks may choose to add an extensive dark ride, maybe a cheap flat ride, or in some cases, even a roller coaster. With the exception of theming, roller coasters are currently the most expensive ride type parks can choose to build, with the average cost of a roller coaster ranging from $10 to $50 million. But what determines the kind of roller coaster a park builds? And what are those kinds? This is episode 4 of our newest series, Theme Park Tactics, The Art of Roller Coasters. The first step for parks in bringing a new roller coaster to life is analyzing what guests are asking for and taking note of changing trends in the industry. For example, a park that generally caters to families with young children is unlikely to invest in a record-breaking thrill coaster because it doesn't mesh with their audience. On the other hand, a thrill-focused park might prioritize intense and innovative coaster designs to appease its different types of guests. Take a look at this comparison between Walt Disney World's Epcot and Six Flags Fiesta Texas. In 2022, both parks added new coasters to their ride lineups, but each was vastly different. Guests at Epcot wanted a mildly thrilling attraction to experience, while guests at Six Flags wanted a record-breaking roller coaster in the middle of the park. What we got respectively were Epcot's Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind and Six Flags Dr. Diabolical's Cliffhanger. But audience alone doesn't always determine the type of coaster a park will build. Sometimes parks will instead look at trends with their competitors and go that route. We've seen this a lot over the years, especially with legacy Cedar Fair parks and Six Flags, engaging in what was referred to as the Coaster Wars. The Coaster Wars was a competitive era in the theme park industry between the 1990s and early 2000s, when amusement parks raced to build taller, faster, and more intense roller coasters. During this time, we saw rides get built like Desperado, Millennium Force, Superman the Escape, and even the tallest roller coaster in the world, Kingda Ka. R.I.P. Nowadays, though, trends have changed, and parks appear to be seeking smaller, less costly, less problematic rides to improve guest satisfaction. Now, there are many different scales and categories amusement parks can look at to determine the type of roller coaster they want to build. There's the literal type, that being whether the coaster is made of wood or steel, or both, the intensity of the attraction, will it be kiddie, family, thrill, or extreme, and the design of the coaster itself, ranging from traditional sit-down coasters to fourth-dimensional ones. Of course, there are other categories such as height, speed, number of inversions, etc., but for now, we'll be looking at the priority listed. Let's start with the type: wood, steel, or both. Wooden coasters used to be the dominating force in the roller coaster world, with over 1,000 of them being built in the 1900s. At the time, wood was cheap, relatively reliable, and becoming more understood, but it was also the only option. Once tubular steel came around in 1959 with the Matterhorn bobsleds, amusement parks began to realize there were more effective ways to make roller coasters. Contrary to wood, steel could bend in unique ways, allowing for sharper turns, a smoother ride experience, and even inversions. As you might imagine, this caused quite a large demand for these new types of rides, and the number of new wooden roller coasters dramatically shrunk. Unfortunately, that is a trend that has continued on to today, with only 11 new wooden roller coasters being built since 2020. However, there are a number of great wooden coaster manufacturers still out there that produce an awesome ride. It's just that if a park decides to purchase one, it's usually out of nostalgic value for the guest, or as a way for that park to diversify its ride lineup. Bottom line, most amusement and theme parks today are not going to purchase a wooden coaster. And so, if a park comes to that conclusion, that then leaves them with two other options: steel or hybrid. We already touched on steel, and there's really nothing more to be said there, so let's briefly hit hybrid. Hybrid coasters are what they sound like and combine both wood and steel, either having wood track and steel supports, or steel track and wood supports, but usually the latter. Gemini at Cedar Point is an early example of this, appearing as a traditional wooden coaster but running on steel track. Benefits to this coaster type include less maintenance and sometimes less cost of material, but similar to wooden coasters, we haven't seen many hybrid coasters get built over the last few years, with only 8 additions since 2020. I should note that some manufacturers such as RMC and Intamin have begun converting old wooden coasters to hybrid coasters as well, so there is that option for parks too. Regardless though, that doesn't compare to the 1,641 steel coasters that were announced or added around the world since 2020. And to really hit this home, again, since 2020 we saw 11 wooden coasters, 8 hybrid coasters, and 1,641 steel coasters get built. That means that for about every 150 steel coasters, we get one wooden coaster. That's a pretty wild ratio. But whatever a park decides as far as type in a coaster, there's the next question of intensity. How forceful do we make this thing? How tall is it going to be? Essentially, what is the ride experience? And the way this is broken down is pretty simple. You have kiddie coasters, designed specifically for small children, family coasters, designed for the whole family, thrill seekers, a step up but also generally suitable for families, and then extreme coasters, coasters that are designed to invoke crazy forces, high speeds, and sometimes even fear. The decision to pick one of these categories is often made directly from surveying guests and or looking at budget constraints. A great example of a park that did this was Dollywood in 2023 when they opened Big Bear Mountain, a thrill coaster suitable for the whole family that spans over 4,000 feet of track. Initially, many speculated that an extreme coaster would be built, but proper research revealed a much different outcome. Parks may also look at terrain, local height regulations, different types of lift or launch mechanisms, etc., in deciding what kind of ride they want to produce. But once all this is figured out though, the final step parks will take in researching and building a roller coaster is the design of the coaster itself. What actually is it? There are a ton of different ways you can classify or look at this, but for our video today, I'm going to specifically run you over the 18 different types of roller coaster designs that parks can generally choose from.
1. There are inverted coasters, where riders sit beneath the track as opposed to on top of it. 2. Floorless coasters, where there's no floor, allowing riders' feet to dangle above the track. 3. Water coasters, where the ride vehicles switch between flume and track sections. 4. Spinning coasters, where the cars can rotate 360 degrees on the x-axis. 5. Powered coasters, where the use of gravity is overridden by power, usually honestly by a powered track or a powered train. 6. Motorbike coasters, where guests straddle a seat in a motorbike position. 7. Stand-up coasters, where guests ride in a standing position. 8. Suspended coasters, where guests ride in vehicles that rock side to side with the track. 9. Pipeline coasters, where the train is attached to the track from the side points, allowing riders to experience the coaster in between its rails. 10. Sit-down coasters, also the most common, where riders experience the coaster in a standard sitting position. 11. Wing coasters, where guests are hung off the sides of the track. 12. SFX coasters, where extreme use of special effects and track elements are introduced. 13. Wild mouse coasters, where an emphasis is placed on heavy lateral forces and minimal banking. 14. VR coasters, where the use of virtual reality is integrated into the ride design. 15. Flying coasters, where guests experience the coaster under the track in a laying down position. 16. Bobsled coasters, where riders get to experience a railless track system that allows them to freely climb different banks. 17. Dive coasters, where guests generally are held by a hold brake before embarking on one or more vertical drops. And finally, 18. With fourth dimensional coasters, where ride vehicles rotate independently of the track, allowing for unique maneuvers and elements.
While there are more designs out there, these general 18 options are what parks get to choose from in deciding how they want to build a new roller coaster. One of my favorite examples of a park that chose its type, intensity, and design of a new coaster extremely well was Six Flags Magic Mountain's Tatsu. They settled on adding an extreme steel flying coaster that would utilize a mountain in the middle of the park to take guests on a journey like a dragon. And what they ended up with was a 170-foot record-breaking flying coaster that has consistently ranked in the world's top 50 steel coasters since it opened. Other parks should absolutely take notes of decisions like that, working closely with their own budgets and available resources to add the best attraction possible. In conclusion though, the decision to build a specific type of roller coaster is far more strategic than it may seem. Parks have to balance ride types, guest expectations and wants, and ride design to select the most fitting attraction. Whether it's meant for kids, families, or adrenaline addicts, every coaster serves a unique purpose in a park's lineup. As ride technology continues to evolve, so too will the creative decisions behind these attractions. Ultimately, great roller coasters come from great planning, and the parks that understand this are often the ones that stand out the most. With that said though, we are now at the end of the video, so if you enjoyed it, please feel free to like and subscribe. Anything you can do to help us out, it'd be much appreciated. This channel and this series in particular are bringing you a lot of new information on theme parks that I haven't seen covered before on YouTube, so if you want to see those, feel free to subscribe. It really does help us out. Otherwise, stay tuned for the next one coming next week, and we will see you all there. See ya!